Hey guys, I'm going to make a quick video. This is going to be in response to a comment that I spent like 15 minutes writing a reply to and then hit the wrong button and lost everything. And I figured, you know what? I'm just going to make a video and talk about this. And this was off of the video I did earlier on getting unstuck from the narcissist. And this was the comment. And it's from a longtime viewer of the channel. I'm not going to use her name, but I'll just read through it and then I want to discuss this a little bit. And it says, I'm stuck again. He's keeping daughter from me, but making her think she can decide when to see me instead of going by the court order. She's almost 14 now. And this is a tactic that will absolutely be used by a narcissist controlling person because, now the kids are older, they can choose. And to be perfectly honest, the sad part about this is if you were to go to court and the judge asked them where they wanted to stay, and if the child said that, there's probably a good chance that they would just adjust custody. All of us know that what it really amounts to is a parent trying to undermine and destroy the relationship a child has with their other parent. And they'll guise that in the fact that the child doesn't like the other parent, that they're not comfortable with them, that it's just not comfortable, whatever. They don't want to be there, whatever the answer is. And the really sad part is I do not understand why society does not look at that and say, why in the hell would a child all of this, not all of a sudden, but, decide to not want to be or have a relationship with another parent. I don't know why that just seems, people just look at that and they're like, oh, nobody questions it. Nobody, and part of it is like they just assume there's something wrong. Oh, well, you don't want to see your mom. Well, there must be something wrong. Or you don't want to see your dad. Well, there must be something wrong. I mean, I know that's what people thought in my situation. And I thought it, right? I mean, as being an alienated child myself, I wanted to have a relationship with my dad, but I was brainwashed that he was evil and not a good influence. And as a result, I didn't really reach out to him a lot. And even that was back in the days when making phone calls. Back then. Do you guys remember the times whenever making long distance, you had to pay by the minute? It wasn't like you can call anywhere on the planet for almost free. Well, like now you can if you use, video stuff. I digress. But so here, I'm going to continue on with this. So after asking me on the phone for homework help, she turned on me after I helped her. And that's, here's another, and I'll just pause for a second on this. And here's another thing that's not kind of frustrating, it absolutely is frustrating, is there'll be this switch, right? They'll want your help, they'll interact with you, and then they'll throw you under the bus, like I mentioned the other day. I'm getting that. That's starting to happen with my youngest. I understand why. She's trying to develop the relationship with her mom. I don't think my daughter thinks that it's going to get back to me. So it's like no harm, no foul. I'm throwing daddy under the bus and it's making things better with mommy. And he doesn't know. And I don't treat him like crap when I'm there. So it must all be good. Can you imagine I guess I can imagine that because I did go through that, but what a screwed up mess for a child to be even put in that situation. And God forbid, if you're on the targeting side of this and you don't nail it like 90% of the time, you are going to undermine your own success, kind of like what this has happened. And this, I've been in this situation. I had, when my daughter was younger and I was helping her with her email, helping with her homework and stuff, and her mom wasn't helping her, I was getting, why can't you help me like mommy? And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Your mom mom isn't helping you and yada, yada. Anyways, so let me get back into this. Because her dad's going on a business trip for the week, and his mom will be staying with her daughter, though I'm available 24/7. She told me she wasn't looking forward to it. I'm assuming looking forward to grandma being there. I'm not entirely sure. She sent me several texts last night stating, I treat her like a doormat and walk all over her like everyone else, gives her guilt trips, that I disrespect her and treat her like she's 3. And the person's like, what? I'm sure she's getting these ideas from her dad, his mom, and the flying monkeys. And that is absolutely correct. What I was trying to write before it got deleted is in that exchange I had with my youngest a month or so ago on that one bad transition day where I was not at the top of my game. I had the same type of thing. I mean, one of the, in that discussion that was devolving into a not good conversation, the final conversation on that was, you always yell at me and, something else. And I was stunned by that. It's like, oh my God, I've had all this progress. All these things were going well, and it's all starting to fall apart. Now, here's the deal. My daughter's 14, same age as this person. Some of this is the teenage angst that kids go through, right? Kids, normally will rebel against their parent. And then when you have a toxic parent in the mix who is, even if they're not encouraging it, damn good and well, they're not going to say, "Now, hey, come on, knock it off. That's your mom or that's your dad. That you're not going to treat them like that. You're not going to say that crap about, they're not going to do that. They're going to be like, oh, it's so sad that your mom, like in this situation, your mommy is just so mean. And you know how she guilt trips you all the time. And you know how she does this and this and this, right? And just like plant that seed and sep that idea into their head. And it could even be that her daughter is lashing out because she's confused by it, doesn't believe it, and is like saying it almost to validate it. Now, this is what's really bad about these situations. Well, there's a lot of things bad about these situations, but in these situations, if you take the bait, what I mean by that is if you have an emotional reaction and you get mad and yell at them, or you go down and this we'll get into the next comment here, or I think I did say it, the guilt trips. If you start like, but I love you, honey, and I miss you, whatever. I mean, you're losing. You're falling right into it. You almost have to sit there and just be like, wow, okay, well, honey, let's talk about this more. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was guilt tripping you and disrespecting you. And treating you like you're 3, could you give me some examples? And this is what I did with mine when she was like, you yell at me all the time. I'm like, wow, okay, when did I do that? And then it was just like, you can see the train derail in her eyes, and well, I don't know, but you do. Oh, okay. And then I just left, right? I mean, I'm like, okay, I need to take a pause. Because if I stay in this discussion, it will turn into an argument, which will be absolutely counterproductive. So, the person goes on to say, I've done nothing she's accusing me of, and I give her space when she wants it. We do whatever she wants when she's with me. I even wait on her hand and foot. Whatever you do, don't say that, to your child, I sacrifice for you. Because if you go down that road, and I don't think she did. I think she's just venting on this. But if you go down and you say that, and it's easy to go down. I've gone down that path. It's easy to go down that path. I'm not saying, that I'm like the super saint here and I never made a mistake, because holy hell, I made a ton of mistakes. That's how I was able to learn from this and correct it with some of the, kind of test it out on the oldest, fail miserably, refine it a little bit with the next one, the next couple. And I have, right? I mean, I've done this fly fix fly thing, like we talk about at work, where I work. We do flight test if you're new to the channel. Anyways, and so I mean, I do this continuous improvement thing. So anyways, I digress. But and she goes on to say, I barely see her anymore. I don't know what's going on. Hormones, age, stress, her dad giving her too much control. Probably that right there, that line right there. Hormones, age, stress, her dad giving her too much control is that right there. You're boom, right there. And the thing to remember, that all of us need to remember, is even if we were in a loving marriage where everything was awesome and we were the best parents in the world, we just did everything right, there's a good chance that when our kids get to these people talk about the terrible 2s and terrible 3s and stuff, teenage time is pretty tough too, because kids are starting to like figure themselves out. They do have the hormone thing. I mean, I'm not even going to go into detail, but there is some pretty weird crap that's going on right now with my youngest, and it's just, you kind of like just hold on, and you're like, oh dear God, let's see if we can get through this high school year and get them into adulthood without destroying, helping them make decisions that destroy their life. My point is even good relationships, good marriages, you can still have this type of thing happening. It's just when you know that another parent is not doing anything to try to help, is not holding them accountable, it makes it a lot tougher. And I'm dealing with that now too. It's really tough. I guess now in some regards, my oldest will stand up for the situation for himself, and in some ways, probably not me, but more for him. And he just gets lumped into the triangulation that, you and daddy are bad, that type of thing. Which is, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's annoying. It is really, and I'll get more into this in a minute, but it's very stressful. And I'll finish up with my thought on that. When she's with me, we're fine, have fun, and she brings her dogs. She won't talk much in person. Okay, sorry about the sneeze. This is the caveat that every one of us needs to be completely aware of. When our kids are with us, if everything is fine, you're actually doing pretty good. The problem is whenever it starts interrupting with the visitation, it makes it really tough because you have to have that time to really gauge this. The other thing is I'll throw out there is I don't think kids really think about time in the same. Well, I know they don't think about time in the same way we do. We're looking at it as in like, oh my God, our child's 14. 4 more years until they're adult, I'm losing, every time that they miss visitation, I'm losing out on that time. And you are, right? But I don't think kids think about it that way. They're kind of caught up in the moment. They're trying to survive their situation. And I mean, typically as kids get older, the last thing they want to do is hang out with their parent. Fortunately, I guess in my situation, that hasn't really happened too much. I mean, I don't know but it's one of those things I'm kind of prepared for, right? I was kind of hoping in my situation with my youngest, with my 14-year-old, is that maybe now that, the money's switching around, things are getting, well, kind of, but, things are a little bit better, that I'd be in a more of a position to do some more things with just my youngest. And I kind of been thinking in the back of my mind, I hope to God that I can maintain a little bit more of that type of relationship before it potentially changes, because then that's what really sucks, right? It's like all those 8 years up to this point, I've been basically unable to do anything. And what I mean by things is like, go on trips and spend a little bit of extra money and, maybe on vacation, take some time and do stuff. For the longest time, I haven't really been able to do that. And anyways, I digress, but that's, I guess what I'm saying is that some of this is incredibly normal, and although not fun, to be expected with teenage kids, right? I think if you can keep the lines of communication open, you have a better chance, but it's really tough because kids don't want to talk to their parents most of the time. And it's just, it's one of those things. It's just it's really annoying. So, and it goes on to say, on occasion she'll tell me what's going on without my asking, which that is an awesome sign. And I mean, on occasion, that's better than never. And unfortunately, again, what I was saying is I don't think it's really typical for a teenager to be constantly confiding in mom or dad on things. You want to have a relationship where when they really feel they can, that they do, but don't beat yourself up if they're not sharing everything with you, because let me ask you this. Did you share everything with your mom or dad? I know I didn't. You know what I mean? So she goes on to say, I'm at a loss and back to depression mode. I can absolutely relate to that. And whenever you see these backslides, it is really depressing. Your videos help, but I can't even leave the house when she's not with me. You have to start working on that. If you don't have a therapist, you need to get one, and you need to force yourself to do some things, because in my thought and in my personal experience, it's so easy to get into these feedback loops where you fall, and I fell into this, right? And it was really weird. It's kind of along the same lines. The kids would go to their mom, I would emotionally crash, and then when they came back, because I had to fake it, I maybe, most of the time, there was still some times even when they were here that I was really tough for me to do things because I was so worn out and depressed. But try to do something. Try, something simple. I don't, just whatever. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, depression is real, right? I mean, it's not, it's not make believe. I think all of us know that. I mean, some people who've never experienced it might not understand, but I think everyone who's watching this video up to this point has probably experienced a time where they're just like, oh, hell no. And if you could call off from work, you didn't go to work. And if you didn't have to go to work, you just kept the doors closed, you kept the lights off, the blinds closed, and you just tried to sleep, or well, that's what I would do. And it's tough. You got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. So, when I was in that mode, I started going to a therapist more. I would try to force myself. I would remind myself, it's like, okay, I don't want to go do anything, or I don't want to go see this friend of mine who's trying to, ask me to go to lunch or whatever. And I would push myself to do it. And not all the time, but like maybe 90% of the time or 80% of the time, I would feel better after doing it, right? I mean, it's like pushing through it would make me feel better. And if I didn't, it just would get worse and worse and worse and worse. So please make sure you're taking care of yourself on that. I know seeing a therapist is tough, but even like that BetterHelp, where you can do it online, and a lot of therapists now are doing it over the phone or they're through video. My son is doing that. The person is not a BetterHelp therapist, but it's his normal therapist, and he can't get out to where she's at anymore because of just schedule and stuff. So they're doing it over the phone. So make sure you get the help that you need. Let's see. It goes on to say, I know it's part of his game, and that's a key point too. And this is what I was talking about in the other video. Their whole point is to break you. Their whole point is to crush your spirit and destroy you. I'll tell you, and I need to revisit this and probably make another video on this. I finally got to the point in my situation where I was close to get to that breaking point. I was close to just saying, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. And I'll let you extrapolate what that means. And I just finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what? F it. I'm not going to give up. And part of it is I'm very analytical. I look at things and I looked at it and it's like, well, if something happened to me, she would hit the lottery. Granted, she wouldn't get the money from the alimony and the child support, but the kids would get Social Security. I'm not sure, she might have got Social Security. I mean, it would have been like, hey, guess what? You're going to get more money than you're getting now. You don't have to stay here anymore because, he's not here. And I'm like, there's no way in hell that no. I'm like, I will continue breathing at all costs because at least then, these other things don't happen. And I mean, it wasn't exactly a glorious thought process, but it was one of the ones that I did on me. It's like in this situation, she knows that her ex is trying to push her over the breaking point. And just my mantra was, you're not going to break me. And, if it's going to take me 10 or 15 years to get to the point where I'm out from underneath this and I can live my life and you're not, you don't have any ability to use the court systems and stuff to screw with me anymore. And now you're reaping the effects of it. That's kind of what kept me going on. I know in her situation, I've talked to her before. It's tough because he makes decent money. I mean, his life hasn't really skipped a beat. He's effectively destroyed her. It's kind of weird because I guess technically that's kind of what happened to me. I've been financially ruined. Luckily, I've been able to hold on to enough to where I have the potential to kind of recover, never to the extent that I would have before. But I couldn't, when I was looking at this before, and it's like, oh my God, thinking my ex was just going to get away with everything. You can't think about that. You can't think about it that way. Think about it in the fact of not letting them win by breaking you, and that at some point you're going to get your life back. Now, that's not to say that you're going to get your child back. And I know a lot of people get really irritated whenever that part of it comes up, when it's like, well, oh, well, just wait and they'll come back to you. That does happen sometimes, right? I've known people who had situations where, they didn't. I mean, I'm getting older, so I know older people, and I've seen situations or circumstances where that's happened, where they didn't have a relationship with their child, and later in life, the kids come back because they want to know what mommy or daddy was like. But it doesn't always happen too. I mean, anyways. It goes on to say he controls, manipulates, yells at her, but I'm being blamed for things that are not happening. I'm beside myself, and of course, holidays coming up. And I appreciate your videos, and thanks for everything that you do. I appreciate that. It's really tough. And one of the thing I was going to get at, that I said I was going to push off until the end of this, is I even go through points, and I'm doing really well. I mean, I'm a pretty positive and happy person. However, I can tell you there are times where I get to the point where I'm just like, oh dear God, let me just get to the kids being adults, and I don't have to play the game. I don't have to, well, you're not telling me things, or, I don't have to play it. I don't have to do it anymore. If the kids decide that they want to gravitate around their mom and chase breadcrumbs, then okay. I mean, I don't have to play that game anymore. I've done my job, then the best of my ability to be the best parent in this, I almost said a word that would demonetize me, in this stressful situation. And, I've done the best I can. Is it the best that could be done? No. I mean, it's, our exes have added just so much extra crap into these situations that it makes it incredibly tough. But my point is I've gotten. I mean, even in the last month or a few weeks ago, I was just like, oh dear God. I mean, can I just get, let me just get this one out. Last one, 18, whatever, goes to college, joins the military, becomes a Hare Krishna, whatever. My goal is to try to maintain a good enough relationship that she doesn't make stupid decisions, all of the kids, that they don't make stupid decisions that screw their life up and send them down a path that just makes their life more complicated. I am worried about my youngest on that, and I have been for a while, because there's, just some decision-making in there that is suspect. As I've mentioned, this last year, her freshman year of high school, she's doing really well. Her grades, she had straight A's for the first half of the year, or the first semester, or whatever the heck it is. Even with it, she's got like all A's, 1 B plus, and a C. She's doing good things. So it's like, I'm just like, okay, I got to make sure I don't torpedo everything and try to keep it going as much as possible. But it gets tiring. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, this isn't one of those things where I'm like, oh, I've got it all figured out and it's great. Life is great. I will say that. All this other BS, not so great. It's not the funnest thing in the world. So I mean, it's tough, because I know exactly, reading this email, I know exactly where this person is, because I've been there. I've felt this. I've felt that depression. I've felt the hopelessness of it, and just like feeling like you're just beating your head against the wall, accomplishing nothing, and seeing very little progress. Now, really, in what she was saying, and the fact that when she does interact with her, that they have a good relationship and whatever, and these attacks, as I understand it, from her daughter, are coming when she's not with her, right? And it's not that it should be expected, but it's not unexpected that they lash out and do stuff like that. Or on transition days. That's a very, very volatile time as well. But when they're with you, whenever they're not under the influence, or they don't have the watchful eye of the flying monkeys and the narcissists and all of that, and you have a calm, peaceful relationship, cherish that, because sometimes in these situations that you lose that too. And then when that happens, you're you're really in a tough situation, because there are some techniques you can use to try to undo that, but it's still tough. So I just wanted to hit this. Hopefully you don't mind this just rambling, answering this comment like this. I'm not even sure how long oh my God, 25 minutes. Yeah, this video went way too long, but I'm going to throw this out here. This will post on Saturday. I got to leave early this morning. I'm on a road trip to go see Chris Godiz to do a collaboration in Santa Barbara, California. So hopefully that will go well. Hopefully the trip will go well. And I would like your feedback on what you think of this situation, and any advice that you might have or want to share as well. And on that, I'm going to get out of here, and I will chat with you on the next video. Take care. Bye.